welcome to the class of 2018 Convocation. I am truly humbled to welcome you here this evening to present the class of 2018 as they receive their awards and scholarships. Please continue to stand as we welcome Sarah Hanrahan, Jessica Pompey, Matthew Kennedy, and Andre Maservi singing the national anthem. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to welcome Class President of 2018, Ali Mercado.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Carver High School Convocation Ceremony for the class of 2018. I would like to welcome members of the Carver School Committee, the award and scholarship presenters, Superintendent Scott Neve, Principal Holly, and Vice Principal Sousa, Carver Middle High School faculty, and finally, family and friends of the students. Tonight is a night for celebrating just a few of the many accomplishments of the students you see behind the stage tonight. Everything from scholarships to awards of service to recognition for outstanding academic performance will be recognized. While we really can't measure how much we owe to the teachers, administration, and family members that have helped us along the way, tonight is meant for celebrating all the hard work we have put forth ourselves. So much has had to happen in these years to get us to where we are now, people just 2 days short of becoming high school graduates. Now, throughout all of our end of the year events, I promise that you're going to hear more than enough of my voice, so instead of trying to tell you right now, I'll just let tonight's events demonstrate just how far we have come and just how much we've accomplished. So get comfortable because we have a long night ahead of us.
So at this time, we will begin with our academic awards. For excellence in English, that will be presented by Bob Buell. And this year's recipient is Justin Carpenter. This year's excellence in mathematics will be presented by Mr. Mark Sousa. This year's recipient is Christopher Rossetti. As we learn at the Oscars, we will accept in his absence. For the Excellence in History Award, that will be presented by Brian Lamoureux. This year's recipient is Michaela Adams. For excellence in science, it will will be presented by Michelle Littleton. This year's recipient is Dalton Souza. This year's Excellence in Comprehensive Health will be presented by Michael Schultz. This year we have two recipients, Brooke Meredith and Trevor Dixon. For Excellence in Spanish, that will be presented by Tom McLean. This year's recipient is Nathan Miller. For Excellence in French, Mr. McLean will join us again, and this year's recipient is Christopher Rosette. For Excellence in Two-Dimensional Art, that will be presented by Jen Genovese. This year's recipient is Samantha Bastard. For Excellence in Three-Dimensional Art, it will be presented also by Jen Genovese. This year's recipient is Matthew Kennedy. For the Excellence in Culinary Science, it will be presented by Tom McLean. This year's recipient is Nicholas Jones. For the Yearbook Award, it will be presented by Jen Genovese. Okay. This year's recipients are Samantha Baston, Caitlin Rudnick, and Catherine O'Connor. For the Excellence in Instrumental Music, that will be presented by Jeremy Tunis. This year's recipient is Matthew Roberts. For Excellence in Vocal Music, that will also be presented by Jeremy Tunis. This year's recipient is Matthew Kennedy. The following students have received National Music Awards. Please stand to be recognized. Sarah Hammerhand. She received the National Choral Award for Excellence in Choral Music. The next recipient received the John Philip Sousa Award for Excellence in Symphonic Band. Congratulations, Jaden Rosano. This student received the Louis Armstrong Jazz Award. Congratulations to Michaela Adams. The following students also participated in the Senior Semper Festival: Matthew Roberts, and once again, Jaden Rosano. The following are English Department Awards. The first award, Teen Inc., goes to the student who demonstrated outstanding originality and potential in writing. The student has challenged the established conventions of writing to create a style all their own. Mr. Yule will present this award to Madison Kent. The Creative Writing Award goes to the student who has shown an appreciation for the craft of writing and demonstrated the ability to engage us in the art of story. Mr. Yule will present this award to Michaela Adams. The UMass Dartmouth Book Award is given to the student chosen by the English department as someone who exemplifies the importance of reading and philosophical reflection. This award will be presented by Mr. Yule to Haley Egan. Earlier this year, Carver Middle High School announced that a student had been named a commended student in the 2018 National Merit Scholarship Program. 34,000 commended students throughout the nation are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. The spokesperson commented, "The young men and women being named commended students have demonstrated outstanding potential for academic success. These students represent a valuable national resource. Recognizing their accomplishments as well as the key roles they play in their schools is vital to the advancement of educational excellence in our nation. We hope that this recognition will help broaden their educational opportunities. We would like to recognize our recipient, Christopher Howard." Carver High School had 28 students who qualified for the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. The scholarship will provide tuition waivers for 8 semesters of undergraduate education at Massachusetts state colleges and universities. In order to qualify, students have to score in the advanced category in either math or English on the grade 10 MCAS. Students scored proficient or advanced in the second subject. This year, I am happy to announce the following students: Michaela Adams, Justin Carpenter, Riley McCoy, Jessica Dahl, Charles Garrity, Gloria Goodritis, Michaela Giorgio, Gerard Greger, Samantha Romer, Sarah Hanrahan, Olivia Harris, Christopher Howard, Tessa Kishpa, Dalton Marshall, Holly McKecker, Nathan Miller, Julian Malloy, Cody Posey, Jacob Rennie, Jared Robbins, Matthew Roberts, Justin Roman, Christopher Rossetti, Caitlin Rudnick, Jaden Rosano, Dalton Souza, and Kaylee Whitman. Thank you. At this time, I will ask Mr. Souza, Carver Middle High School's Vice Principal, to continue with the Honor Performance Awards.
Our next award will be the Award for Excellence in the Dramatic Arts. This is presented by Tom McLean to Jaden Rosano. Each year, the Jewish War veterans ask the Guidance Department to nominate a student who exemplifies the qualities of school and community, citizenship, respect for all, and a good spirit of goodwill. At this time, Ms. Nolan will present the Jewish War Veteran Certificate to Nathan Miller. At this time, we'd like to recognize our students with perfect attendance for 1 year or more during high school. Students with perfect attendance for 1 year: Christopher Howard and Megan Nickerson. We've had one student who has had perfect attendance for all 4 years of high school, and that student is Nathan Miller. And although he's not able to join us this evening, there is one student in the class who has had perfect attendance for all 7 years of his education at Carver Middle High School. And that student is Christopher Rosé. The Principal's Leadership Award is sponsored by the National Association of Secondary Schools. It is awarded to a student who demonstrates both real leadership in terms of actual contributions through elected office, participation in the organization of senior and school events, and ethical, social, and moral leadership in terms of character and ability to take responsibility for his or her actions, to take leadership risks. Ms. Hawley is pleased to present the award this year to Samantha Santos. The Humanitarian Award will also be presented by Ms. Hawley. This award is given to a student whose personal goals are inextricably tied to the greater good. She unselfishly gives of herself in order to help others, shows the courage of her convictions in her everyday life, and demonstrates her intelligence and respect for others in her approach to all of her endeavors. Ms. Hawley is pleased to present the award this year to Catherine O'Connor. The following award is given to the student who most demonstrates dependability, service, leadership, and patriotism, and was nominated by the staff of Carver Middle High School. Ms. Nolan will present the Daughters of the American Revolution Award to Michaela Adams. Ms. Hawley will now present the Massachusetts Secondary School Administrators Association Students Achievement Award. That's a mouthful. This award is presented to the student who has achieved academic excellence and has made an outstanding contribution to our school. It is with great pleasure that we present this award to Christopher Howard. The Massachusetts Mock Trial Competition is a program sponsored by the Mass Bar Association. Throughout the tournament, students assume the roles of lawyers and witnesses and have to be prepared to argue both sides of a case in front of district court judges in various district courts throughout the state. Students must be able to demonstrate solid debating skills, thinking quickly on their feet, reacting and responding to objections, motions, and challenges filed by competing attorneys and district court judges. Students who compete in this extracurricular activity commit themselves to 50 to 75 hours of preparation and competition time over a 2 to 3 month period. 5 seniors participated in mock trial this year, and Ms. Perkins will present certificates to Justin Carpenter, Dory Gontritis, Nathan Miller, Taryn Minahan, and Dalton Souza. The Washburn Award was established both to honor Mr. Erwin Washburn, who has made a lifelong contribution to the education of students in Carver, and to recognize a student who has demonstrated meaningful and improved motivation, effort, and achievement over 4 years. This award is presented each year to a student who would look at his or her work as a freshman and his or her work as a senior and say, "I made a difference in my life at Carver Middle High School." Ms. Hawley will present the award this year to Jessica Scarafone. The Massachusetts chapter of the American Board of Trial Advocates requests that high school principals nominate students to attend a lecture to commemorate Constitution Day, September 17th, the day the United States Constitution was ordained and established by the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. This year, the lecture was held at the State House in Boston, and the following students will now be recognized as James Otis Scholars. The certificates will be presented by Mr. Lambert. Justin Carpenter, Tessa Kishbach, Sarah Hanrahan, Christopher Howard, and Dalton Souza. The Carver High School Student Council has worked tirelessly to continually increase both student engagement at school-sponsored events and cultivate a stronger feeling of school pride amongst the students and staff in our school, and strengthen the relationship between our school and surrounding community. Through our annual community service projects to raise money for noble charities, our development of successful events, and our revamped and improved pep rallies, our council strives to improve the culture of both the school and community. The following students were recognized at Class Day for their commitment to Carver High School Student Council: Samantha Santos, Carrie Yanovich, and Holly McKenna. The next several awards are related to athletics and academics, and in many cases, the choice was so difficult that more than one student, athlete, and scholar will receive the award. The National Scholar Athlete from the United States Army will be presented by Mike Schultz to Nathan Miller and Caitlin Rudnick. The Distinguished Athlete Award from the United States Marines will be presented by Mike Schultz to Matthew Roberts and Chelsea Pierce. The United States Marines Semper Fidelis Instrumental Music Award will be presented by Mike Schultz to Nathan Miller and Nicole Nelson. The United States Navy Award for Math will be presented by Mike Schultz to Justin Carpenter. The United States Navy Award for Science will also be presented by Mike Schultz to Doria Gudritis. The United States Air Force Math and Science Award will be presented by Mike Schultz to Caitlin Rudnick. The Athletic Sportsmanship Award will be presented by Michael Schultz to Casey Fernandez and Megan Nickerson. And the award for Best Athletes will be presented by Michael Schultz to Andrew Bumpus and Katrina Miller.
Just giving Mr. Souza an opportunity to work his way back to the other side. And the next award is the Superintendent Awards for Academic Excellence. Superintendent Neef could not be here this evening because his own child is having his convocation this evening. That is the only reason, and he He was extremely torn, but we explained to him that it's probably important for him to also attend his child's event. But he literally made the decision just last week after some nudging. I'm sure his wife appreciates that he is there this evening. The Superintendent's Award for Academic Excellence will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Nathan Miller. At this time, Mr. Souza will assist the advisor to the National Honor Society, Mr. Jeff Mallett, in presenting awards to the officers of the National Honor Society, as well as their symbolic collars and gold tassels. We'll begin with the President, Samantha Santos. Vice President, Holly McKecker. Jillian Malloy, Secretary. And Treasurer, Kara Unilovich. And now the members will receive their collars and gold tassels. Michaela Adams. Samantha Baston. Justin Carpenter. Jessica Gallagher. Charles Garrity. Doria Gudritis. Sarah Hanrahan. Christopher Howard. Matthew Kennedy. Tessa Kishpa. Holly McKecker. Nathan Miller. Katrina Millman. Taryn Minahan. Jillian Malloy. Nicole Nelson. Jared Robbins. Matthew Roberts. Christopher Rossetti. Caitlin Rudnick. Jaden Rosano. Jacob Sanson. Samantha Santos. Dalton Souza. Kaylee Wentworth. Take your time, don't worry. And Kara Unilovich. At this time, Ms. Sue Spillane, Spanish and French National Honor Society Advisor, will now present the chords, assisted by Maria Calvo. For the Spanish National Honor Society, Michaela Adams. Christopher Howard. Holly McEachern. Nathan Miller. Nicole Nelson. And Jaden Rosano. And for the French National Honor Society, Kara Unilovich. The National French Contest, Le Grand Concours, is an annual competition sponsored by the American Association of Teachers of French Students. French students in grades 1 through 12 in all 50 states and abroad take a written test and compete against students with similar educational background for prizes. This year, Christopher Rossetti was awarded an honorable mention for his score on completing the French 5 competition. I know he's not here with me. At this time, Mrs. Liza Bertram, Mr. Tony Rhoda, and Mrs. Rachel Kilknapp, the advisors of the student government class of 2018, will present the symbolic stoles in recognition of service of senior class officers, and they will present the Senior Service Award to Holly McEachern. Holly also serves as class president. For senior class vice president, Catherine O'Connor. For senior class secretary, Zoe Magnuson. For senior class treasurer, Katrina Millman. And for public coordinator, Jessica Scarafoni. I now have the honor of announcing the 2 highest academic awards as they are presented by Mr. Souza. This year's salutatorian, Sarah Hanrahan. This year's valedictorian, Justin Carpenter. where you will be handed an envelope to present to the recipients. The first group of scholarship recipients have been selected by the scholarship donor. The Zach Kane Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Katie Kane and Amy Feen. This year's recipients are Casey Fernandez, Malachi Barrett, Taryn Minahan, Sydney Jones, Riley DeCourt, Brianna McKenyon, Jessica Scarafoni, Tyler Hallinan, and Julia Middendorf. Thank you so much. Next, we have the South Meadow Village Association Scholarship being presented by Mary Bellinger. This year's recipient is Katrina Millman and Matthew Kennedy. Carver Elementary Staff Scholarship, presented by Deborah Gesualdo. This year's recipients are Jessica Scarafoni, Zoe Magnuson, Jaden Rosano, Mary DeShaw, and Victoria Rigo. Next, the Candace Weiler Scholarship, which will be presented by Candace Weiler. This year's recipients are Kaylee Wentworth and Carver Unilovich. The Rocky Gomes Athletic Diversity Scholarship will be presented by Mike Grant. This year's recipients are Casey Fernandez and Malachi Beck. The Jake Town Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Brian Roach and Jason Showman. Okay? This year's recipients are Samantha Baston and Katrina Millman. The Carver Old Home Day Scholarship will be presented by Emily Slavin. This year's recipient is Taryn Minahan. The Carver Music Booster Scholarship will be presented by Jennifer Downing. This year's are Michaela Adams, Nathan Miller, and Jaden Rosano. The Carver Middle High School National Honor Society Scholarship will be presented by Jeff Mallon. This year's recipients are Samantha Santos, Holly McEachern, and Justin Carpenter. The Family Driving School Scholarship will be presented by the Pirates family. This year's recipient is Dalton Souza. The Carver Girls Softball Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipients are Caitlin Rudnick and Sarah Grinnell. The Carver Athletic Booster Scholarship will be presented by Mike Schultz. This year's recipients are Andrew Bumpus, Madison Ken, Julia Middendorf, Katrina Millman, Megan Nickerson, and Riley DeCourt. The Carver Pop Warner Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipients are Andrew Bumpus, Sawyer Shaw, Samantha Santos, and Anna Gould. The Midge Roby Scholarship will be presented by Reverend Merritt. This year's recipients are Kaylee Wentworth, Nathan Miller, and Holly McEachern. The Harbor Insurance Scholarship will be presented by Doug and Josh Drew. This year's recipient is Jacob Sanson. The Dollars for Scholars Scholarship will be presented by Liza Bertram. This year's recipients are Sarah Hanrahan, Holly McEachern, and Samantha Santos. The Jake Patoda Memorial Scholarship will be presented by CJ, Kim, and Cam Patoda. This year's recipients are Mary DeShaw, Katrina Millman, and Samantha Santos. The Carver Middle High School PTO Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipients, Justin Roman, Catherine O'Connor, Christopher Howard, Nicole Nelson, Matthew Kennedy, and Jessica Pompey. The Bach Talks for Education Scholarship will be presented by Mr. and Mrs. Calderoni. This year's recipient, Mr. Calderoni. This year's recipient is Riley DeCourt. The Carver High School Scholarship Committee has honored the request of the scholarship donors in selecting the recipients of the next scholarship awards. The Education Association of Plymouth and Carver Scholarship will be presented by Jackie Perkins. This year's recipient is Caitlin Rudnick. The Julian Southworth American Legion Post 164 Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Gabrielle Belvin. The Century 21 Classic Gold Nancy Tucker Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Brenda Tucker. This year's recipient is Katrina Wallace. The Daniel Lavoisier Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Kaylee Lavoisier. This year's recipients are Kara Unilovich and Michaela Giorgio. The Carver Middle High School Staff Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Jillian Malloy. The Crusader Corner Scholarship will be presented by Mike Schultz. This year's recipients are Jacob Rennie and Dalton Marshall. The Deacon's Cranberry Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Catherine O'Connor. The Area 58 Community Access Media Scholarship will be presented by Mike Schultz. This year's recipient is Chelsea Pierce. St. John the Baptist Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Sarah Hammerham. The Doreen Merritt Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Sonia Lomax. This year's recipient is Nathan Miller. The Carver Police Union Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Sarah Hammerham. The Carver Police Good Citizen Scholarship will be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipients are Megan Nickerson and Mary DeShaw. The Souza Family Scholarship will be presented by Tony Souza. This year's recipient is Doria Gadritis. The Carver Lions Club Scholarship will be presented by Paul and Judy Bryant. This year's recipients, Jaden Rosano, Michaela Giorgio, Cullen Reagan, and Olivia Harris. The Thomas P. Coyne Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Michael, Nicholas, Courtney, and Kyle. This year's recipient is Katrina Millman. The Carver Sportsman Club Ronald Demers Sr. Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Jessica Gallagher. The Carver Sportsman Club Fred Weston Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Andrew Bumpus. The Carver Firefighters Association Scholarship will be presented by Captain Robert Tellis. This year's recipient is Megan Nickerson. The Plymouth Carver Class of 1968 Scholarship will be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Justin Carpenter. The Carver High School Class of 1998 Scholarship will also be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Casey Gallagher. The Carver High School Class of 2003 will also be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient, Holly McEachern. The Carver High School Class of 2008 Scholarship will also be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient, Chelsea Pierce. The Carver High School Class of 2013 will also be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient, Jessica Gallagher. The Honeydew Donuts will also be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Megan Nickerson. The Elizabeth Cushman Memorial Trust Scholarship will also be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year, the recipients are Taryn Minahan, Michaela Adams, Sarah Hanrahan, Nathan Miller, Kara Ubilovich, Jillian Malloy, and Matthew Kennedy. The Mutual Bank Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Caitlin Rudnick. This year's recipient is Catherine O'Connor. The Causeway Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Mary McKenna. This year's recipient is Doria Gudritis. The Residents of Newfield House Scholarship will be presented by Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Kaylee Wentworth. The Elizabeth Sorrells Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Sarah Testa. The Gordon W. Barrows Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Doria Gudritis. Pauline Contino Memorial Scholarship will be presented by Mr. Mark Souza. This year's recipient is Casey Gallagher.